I have played every single Fire Emblem game, and it's maybe my favorite series of all time. However, I had been hearing across all of Twitter that Mewgenics could win Game of the Year, and if it's a tactics roguelike, I absolutely have to play it if it's getting such high praise from its community. Now, I normally rate games using 5 distinct categories: optimization, art direction, replayability, fun, and innovation. If you want to know what a Fire Emblem fan gave it as a score out of 100, it's 92. But if you want to know why I feel that way, how I enjoyed playing it, and everything else that comes with that, then you should stay for the rest of the video. Now, a little bit of background on the game itself. It is the same creator as The Binding of Isaac. It launched to 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. It is in the top 10 current played games on the platform, and this is honestly a little bit surprising given just how different it is to The Binding of Isaac and general tactics games. Tactics games are not the most popular genre, not on Steam at least, so to see it to come out to such popularity is actually really interesting. How the game works is this: you take a party of 4 cats into a roguelike tactics game, not too different to something like Slay the Spire. And the core difference here is the turn-based element of the tactics adventure. You have your cats on the board, move them around, attack enemies, use abilities, all the pretty standard stuff. Instead of having a deck full of cards, you have these 4 cats that are changing and evolving over the course of the adventure. Every single cat is wildly different, which is one of the best parts of this game by far. Some have serious range at their disposal, some have powerful abilities, and others can be really tanky and heal not only themselves, but their allies. The diversity in the different sort of cats, their abilities, moves, and usefulness is actually really interesting here, and it's one of my favorite parts of the entire game. The enemies themselves are also wildly different, and there's all these different kinds of bosses that play very differently against you. They'll have powerful and unique special moves. Sometimes you'll face only 2 to 3 enemies, and other times it will be a horde of a dozen flies or a handful of mice. Every enemy plays very, very differently. Now, the game art style is something that will stand out to many of you. It takes on an almost Cuphead aesthetic with like an 80s style sort of thing in both the music and the graphics. It has a focus on fun dialogue, humor, and plenty of cat-related puns and themes. If you are an absolute cat person and you enjoy tactics games, you should have bought this thing like yesterday or wishlisted it 3 months ago. I don't know, you should already own this game. Most moves and other gameplay elements have cat jokes woven throughout them as well, and honestly, I'm a big fan of any pun. Now, I found the style distracting at first, and even nowadays do a little bit, but anyone that likes this style will absolutely love the game without a doubt. The roguelike and tactics systems are also as expected. Besides the epic variety, the cat breeding is truly unique. After each run, your cats breed, new cats appear, and they form your future teams. And I will note this is a lot more graphic than I expected, and I have no idea what the Steam terms of service is, but this is a pretty interesting take on it. So this also allows a unique metagame to form outside of actually using the cats to play the game. When leveling up specific cats, you might preserve some to get powerful breeds later on, or get rid of others that don't have the stats or abilities that you want to pass on to their offspring. This keeps the game highly replayable for future runs, and it's something I've never really seen even in a roguelike before, like breeding systems in this way. Now, the core game loop is very, very simple at its basis. Acquire new stray cats or let existing cats breed, play through each tactics battle in the roguelike with your party of 4 different cats, level them up and enhance them with new abilities, defeat the boss, get great items, resources, and more to overall enhance your experience and do more difficult adventures later on, and grow your cat litter and sell them off to get other upgrades to improve your overall team. Return to the roguelike and then defeat more difficult paths. Now, with my first time playing the game, the art style caught me off guard. Even after I watched the trailers, it was even more jarring than I expected it to be. I got used to it slowly, but honestly, it's still not really my cup of tea. The game's music and humor, however, are absolutely phenomenal and carry the art style to make it really fun and enjoyable experience for me anyways. I feel like it's harder to enjoy it without really owning your own cats in real life or having lived that life at some point, but it's still amusing to play out. Now, The music is often overlooked, and if the soundtrack wasn't as amusing and thematic as it is, the game wouldn't be remotely as good. The music actually does a lot of heavy lifting here. The song, for example, Against a Godfather Kind of Cat went like, he's the king of cats, all of my nights I'm chasing rats. I could not help but laugh my head off at that entire song, and many of the other songs are just playing regular levels as well. Not to mention that the background music and everything was incredibly well composed as well. I'm not the sort of person to listen to OSTs while I'm doing work and things like that, but if someone loves this game, they will be listening to this OST all day, every day. Now, for example, at once, and some of the other humor in the game was actually really amusing. For example, at one stage, my cat randomly got cancer. I'm still not entirely sure how that happened, but I saw that text and I just stopped for like 10 seconds. I was like, what the hell, why? Which is both dark and ridiculous, but it made me audibly chuckle while playing, and those are the sorts of moments that are really important when it comes to playing this game at all. Now, at another point, I also had the chance to buy an eerily familiar looking rare candy. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Pokemon fan, and honestly, it just leveled up one of my cats, which I thought was a really fun Easter egg in the game, and is not the only Easter egg I encountered while playing through it. It gave me a great joy every single time I found something new, nostalgic, or just, it's so much fun, and if you're a big gamer, you love tactics games and things like that, then this is actually such a pleasure to go through. Now, let's talk about kind of my history with Fire Emblem and how that's relating to how I experienced this game. Now, I would have preferred a different overall setting, like fantasy or whatever, just like Fire Emblem, because that's my favorite setting in any game. But it is really great to play something unique and refreshing, and for people that are looking for that, this game is absolutely perfect. There are also a lot of elements here I love that make me feel really at home. I feel like your characters progress and evolve throughout each playthrough, which is my favorite part of Fire Emblem by far. And there's also decent consequences to your tats actually dying. Their stats get reduced permanently, which will affect their future offspring and have a negative impact down the line. And maybe if you're not doing particularly well on the roguelike later, your run could just end and you could run out of resources to continue playing. So there is some genuine danger in letting your cats die, failing levels, instead of just going over and over again in like in some other roguelike games. Now, there's also a lot of synergy between your cats, and the classes feel highly relevant. It would have felt really odd without that, but it's really good to see that they all interact with each other in interesting ways, which is something integral to any tactics type gameplay. Now, will I continue playing the game? Personally, I hope I get used to the art direction more, if nothing else. I'm excited to progress through the metagame and see my litter and cats evolve and change. That being said, I also have that there's some really challenging fights like the ones I've already seen, and even more variety than I'm surprised I even saw it in my first hour or two playing the game, and from there on as well. Now, what sets Mewgenics apart is the tactics elements are all there, which is an experience that we don't get very often on PC gaming at least. The roguelike systems are fresh, fun, and engaging, and they keep you coming back for more, like I did not expect. The art direction is unique and fun, and although I don't think it'll be for everyone, anyone who's looking for a brand new experience will absolutely love this game, because you cannot get it anywhere else. Not only that, but the music, although not for every single person that loves video games, really ties the entire game together perfectly. So really, the synchronization across the entire development team for this game is one that I haven't really seen all that often in modern gaming. Often you'll see that the art direction and the gameplay elements are at odds, or the UI and the UX just aren't matching with each other. But in this game, everyone was on the same page the entire way through, and it showed. Now, what I didn't like about the game is that even though I'm sure it has an audience, the art direction isn't really my style. Also, the game felt a little slow at times. I'm clicking a lot of buttons back and forth in the UI, and all of the animations made it hard to click concurrent moves as well. I also played it briefly on the Steam Deck to see what that experience was like, because I think any game that's optimized for the Steam Deck is really good. But it would have been nice to either get shown hotkeys or integrate move, attack, and abilities better on the tactics board itself, instead of going to the left to click things, checking all your stuff down the bottom of the right. It would have been better to use like keys and keyboard systems, or controller systems even, to really better manage the game as a whole. Now, on my 5 categories, I rate it as follows. For optimization, I gave it a 95. It works flawlessly on the Steam Deck, and perfectly fine on my PC, obviously, but I would have liked more settings options overall. The art direction is a 90. It's unique and cohesive in a world full of AI slop, and some of the UI is a little rough to comprehend, especially like sometimes there was an enemy on the board that I didn't even know it was an enemy. I would have liked them to abandon some of the black and white sort of grayscale noir stuff and focus on the UX a little bit more in that way. The replayability is an 85. Now, it's replayable in a lot of ways, but it's a little bit too slow on pacing compared to Hades or Slay the Spire, but it has overall excellent roguelike components. Fun is a 90. For a fan of tactics games, it's got all of the elements you need and then some, especially with the roguelike backing behind it. And lastly, innovation, I'm giving it a perfect score of 100. You will never play another game like this, probably now, in the past, or ever in your lifetime. It's insanely creative, and it takes a game designer genius to coordinate a team in a way that they can accomplish this. My final score is 92.